Everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm sure that you already saw from the title of this video, but today I am going to be showing you my collection of all of my eyeshadow palettes. Before we fully jump into showing off the palettes, I am not going to be decluttering any of my eyeshadow palettes. It's not really something that I currently do. Possibly in the future I might, I'm not 100% sure, but I do really like the idea of being able to look back, and especially eyeshadow palettes are the only thing that I do keep. I think it's the one thing in my collection that is just the most fun to kind of look back and see, and also it's like a deal with myself, so I'm not hoarding all the makeup in the world. I am just hoarding the eyeshadow palettes. Enough chatting, let's go ahead and jump on in. All of my palettes are in order alphabetically. This is something I did with my organization a little bit ago. I just like how it looks. I kind of want it to look a bit like a bookshelf and not, you know, a little more disheveled and not like everything like perfectly in order. So first up, this is my only palette from Beauté. It's the Oceanic palette. I do honestly really like this palette. One thing I would say that is probably not my favorite is the shimmers in this. They're just okay. They're nice. Here, as I'm like showing off a couple. They're nice and pretty, but they're nothing like too blingy. But this is still a really nice, solid palette, and I really do like it. Next, we will be jumping into all of my ABH eyeshadow palettes. ABH is no longer a brand that I support, but I am trying to get some use out of their palettes. First up, we have the Amrezy palette. To be honest, I have never really used this. As you see, I did have a shade break, which is kind of a bummer. It kind of happened in the mail. This palette, I don't know. I feel like I kind of lost my mind with ABH for a while. I was just buying every single collection. It's pretty. It has some neutrals and stuff, and some of the shimmers are really pretty. This one right up here is super gorgeous, so I definitely want to get some more use out of that one. Next up, we do have the Alyssa Edwards palette. You will see on my channel, I did just do a video on this, a makeup tutorial, so definitely check that out, and also check out my friend Connie at ColourPop. We did a collab together. She created a super fun, bright look, and I really like it. Next up is Modern Renaissance, another one that I have. I mean, it looks like I play with it, but to be honest, I really haven't. This is not my color scheme, but I feel like it just sounds weird to say for like historical set. Sorry, I'm like, I don't even know where to put this. Maybe I should scoot over a little bit and we'll just kind of hold him here. For historical kind of reasons, I just think it's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, the shimmers are just okay. The mattes are definitely really nice, but it's not a color story I reach for. I don't know. I want to get some more use out of that. So next up, I really don't like this Norvina. This is the original that started it all. Honestly, now that I'm looking at this, I might, I definitely might pull from this. The shimmers look really pretty on this top row. I may be able to create something really pretty. I don't know. I did not like it when I first got it. I think especially the purples were, especially this one, I don't know. But it is really pretty, so excited to get more use out of that. We do have the Riviera. I don't think I have ever used this one. I maybe have used it a little bit, but especially with summertime, I really am excited to get some more use out of this one. Another nice solid one. This one, you can see, is nice and dirty, the Soft Glam. I have used this one, shockingly, especially the black. If ever you see any of my eyeshadow palettes that have pan, it's generally going to be the black or the white. But this is honestly a really nice, solid, neutral palette. Next up is the infamous Subculture palette that I know a ton of people did not like. As you see, I have gotten a ton of use out of this palette. I really, really like this palette. I did pick mine up at TJ Maxx, so I'm not 100% sure if this is the reformulation or if this is the original, but the shades are a bit powdery, but I never really had like a massive issue. I know a lot of people did not like this palette, but I really like the color scheme. This is probably one of my favorites that I really want to play with more. Next up, we have, I kind of regret buying this, the Norvina little minis collection. Again, I was just kind of going through a wild phase. I do have a video of this on my channel if you are curious. I was able, honestly, to create some really fun looks with this, which is crazy now that I look at it because it's such just this, it's a really odd color story to me. And the shades were just okay. It does also have like a pressed glitter, which I'm not super big about, but I mean, the quality is nice, so yeah. Next up, this is my one and only Beauty Bakery palette. So this came out last year, I believe it was, around, hopefully, Christmas time. These were about $10. I think there was supposed to be another one that never ended up showing up. I think it was like a sweet potato pie or something one. But I did pick up this one. It's fine. It's a nice palette. Don't really care for the duplicate reds. The shade is really nice. You can see I've definitely used this. It's honestly a really pretty palette and a pretty solid palette. Beauty Bakery is one of those brands that's kind of just a little... It's not a brand that I necessarily use, but I do like it. I will be curious to see what they come out with next, but it's not necessarily a brand that I feel like I'm going to buy from much in the future, sadly. Next up, so this is the Urban Myth palette from Black Moon Cosmetics. Oopsie. I love this packaging, this little thing. It's so pretty. Sorry, the mirror. This palette, to be honest, is just okay. This silver is really nice, and some of these shades are really nice, but I struggle to do complete looks with this palette, to be honest, because I feel like it's just independent looks. I probably have created looks. I almost want to swatch this blue and see if it's that good. It's not swatching that good. I don't know. I do want to get more use out of this palette. Obviously, like I said earlier, I'm not decluttering any of these, but as in terms of recommending this palette, it's nice, but I would say there's definitely far more nicer things out there. I do want them to come out with more because they really don't have much. I still want to try that. It's like a half circle palette or something that's like some mattes, neutral mattes that a lot of people have said is really nice. So I definitely want to try that one out, but I do hope that they come out with more because I feel like they don't really come out with much. They kind of just have lipsticks, which their lipsticks are really great, but I don't know, I want more. Jumping in to a brand that I really, really love is... Uh-oh, shade just fell out. I forgot that I had potted one. This is the Blend Bunny Blends, their OG palette. This is a super solid rainbow palette. I would recommend this palette, honestly, to every single person, especially if you want to get into colorful eyeshadow. The formulas are really nice, and I really appreciate that there is kind of like a dark green, a mid-tone, and then like a lighter green, or not green, sorry, of all the shades to really help you to blend out your looks. Super solid palette. Primal is up next. I do have a video of this one on my YouTube. I did make this one magnetic. Mine's a little messy, so don't mind it. I think I might be missing a shade. Yeah, I did lose a shade. This palette is also super solid. I know this one's not super popular. This is supposed to be her continuation of the blend to fill any like missing holes and stuff. This is a nice palette. I do like it. I do like the large pans of the black and white. The shimmers are just okay. A lot of people are not like super big about these shimmers. Yeah, they're just okay. I've heard that their formula has gotten better, so I'm definitely excited to try out more from them. Next up, don't mind mine is like super dirty, is the unfortunately discontinued Surge palette. I really did like this palette, don't mind. I have a broken purple shade. It did come in broken, but I kind of was like, whatever. This palette is really solid. I really do hope that they are able to bring back this palette in a different form. To be honest, my favorites about this palette are the neons, which I know that they no longer are able to make currently. So I really do hope that they can come back with these. The neons in this are super solid. The other shades are pretty. They're very kind of muted, so it's not something I'm like super drawn to, but I really do still like it. Next up is the Sugar and Grunge. This did come out, I believe, around like June-ish of last year. This one is super pretty, very, it's supposed to be grungy, but it also has a lot of like very sugary shades. Sorry, I feel like I should like, there you go, try to include myself in this more, we'll see. This is the first palette where she changed up the shimmers and did not make them completely corresponding within the order, so I know a lot of people are not super keen on that. But, you know, whatever, really does not matter in all honesty. I really want to get more use out of this palette. I really do like, honestly, the ease of this palette, which is kind of similar to a lot of her palettes. of just if you want to create a look and you're not really sure, you're like, I want to do green, just picking the 3 greens. And these are very unique. I really don't feel like she has any of these shades duped in her other palettes. I really do feel like they are really nice and unique. Moving on. So this, if anybody remembers, oh my gosh, this palette, so this is from Colored Raine. This was their rainbow palette from forever ago. I know this was super, super popular back in the day. These shades are honestly still really nice. I'm not a big fan of like some of the blues, they're not as good, or maybe some of the purples, but like the red, the yellow I know is a really good one. I do kind of wish, I know that the brand used to do singles and had this palette, I believe, like a magnetic version, but then they switched to the full palette. I do wish they would go back to that. I don't 100% know what Colored Raine is doing. I think I did hear, right, that with Marlena Style or Makeup Geek that they're partnering with them. I don't really know. I know that they're somehow in there somewhere. I'm really hoping that Colored Raine comes out with more. I really just don't hear them talk about it, which is kind of sad. This palette, which is one that I really feel like almost nobody talks about, and this is my absolute favorite neutral palette, which is the Rebellious Nudes from Colored Raine. I love this palette. It is such a solid palette. I know it's not super neutral, I guess that's the name, but I really like this. It's such a nice color story. It's beautiful. So here we are with 2 palettes. These are both by Colored Raine, and these were actually in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny, where I believe she did like the artwork or chose the color story, something like that. Ooh, mine are kind of effed up. I just realized I think I might have tried to depot this one. I am not 100% in love with these. These are fine. These are really just not my color story, so I kind of regret them. But the quality is really pretty. I do as well have separate videos, I think, for both of these palettes. If you are curious, my thoughts on that. Next up, we have the Juicy Boost palette. I do have mine in the book style. They did have 2 different versions. So they had a flat, bigger palette, and they did have this kind of a little book style. One thing I really do appreciate about this palette, it is completely magnetic. I don't really remember the brand saying anything about that, but yeah, I like that it's completely magnetic. I know that this palette got a ton of mixed thoughts. When it was first released, a lot of people were saying the quality just wasn't that good. Mine is honestly really fine, so I don't know if it was the flat palette versus the book style, but I got it. I think I probably got it on sale and just wanted to give it a try. And I really do appreciate it. I really cannot wait to create some, like, make your own palettes with it. So moving on into ColourPop. So this is from last year, the Hocus Pocus 2 eyeshadow palette. I don't know if I have a video on this one or not. I know that I did talk about it, and I know that I did find my copy on eBay, and they still have a ton completely brand new sealed in the package. So definitely recommend that if you do want to pick this up. Hocus Pocus is my absolute favorite movie. If you cannot tell by my photo in the background of Hocus Pocus, it is a blanket that I had bought from Amazon a while ago, and it became beautiful artwork, and I really love it as just like a little background. So yeah, that is that. Okay, so speaking of that, we do have the Gather Round Sisters palette. This sucker is a much more like neutrally color story. I really do still like this one. It is super pretty. It's a really nice one just to pull out for the holidays. I do wish that they would bring these back, but I also kind of get why they don't. Come in with the last Hocus Pocus palette from ColourPop is the Wishing Hours. This was the second one that they had come out with. This is the color story. This one is also super nice. It's not probably my favorite color story. I feel like I like the first and the third one the most, but this one is still really pretty, and I believe I might have a video as well playing with this palette, or at least doing some sort of a look. Jumping on in, we have the Just My Luck palette from ColourPop. So I knew I always wanted this one, especially because it is, what is it called? You know, that day, the lucky day. I can't remember what it's called because I suck. St. Patrick's Day, there we go. I knew I always wanted this one. Honestly, now that I have it, it's okay. The mattes are really nice. The center shimmer is the best. The other ones are just, you know, they're pretty, but they're not always the standout shimmers that I'm looking for, but I'm happy to have it. Next up, this is a ColourPop palette that I had found at Target. So it was just a pretty neutral, nice color story. The shimmers in here are actually really nice, pretty solid. I don't like this one shade here because it is that kind of matte with a little bit of sparkle. Really does not show up for a neutral. I think there's another one right there too, which is kind of annoying. But for a pretty simple neutral palette, this is actually, or neutral to me, it's a really solid one. It's called Truly Iconic. If I did not say that, I really do like it. Coming in with another indie brand. As far as I know, these three are all discontinued. So this is from CXC Beauty. This is their Rainbow Eyeshadow Palette, the original one. I do believe they have a newer one. This brand, to be honest with you, I feel conflicted because the shadows, whenever I played with them, they're fine, but they're kind of weird. And I might have talked about them before, that they feel they're very smooth and pigmented, but I really struggle to have them pick up. I do have the gray one. This one is probably by far my favorite. Unfortunately, as well, is, I believe, discontinued. I did give them a second chance by buying this one, the Midwinter's Night palette. This is what this looks like. The color story is interesting. I really love the artwork, which I think most people probably would. These are fine. The same thing like I was saying before, though, with the mattes, there's something about them that I don't know, they swatch really nice, but I feel like I just struggle to keep them. Maybe it would be the idea of powdery, like they blend away too fast. So, not a massive fan of that. I know that they have other palettes now, newer ones. I really don't know. I'll keep an eye out. I follow them, they follow me. It's something that I'm very curious to see what they come up with next, but nothing so far has baffled me and maybe like I need to buy that. You know, I'm still keeping my eye out, so hopefully they come up with something really pretty. So this is from Danessa Myricks. I believe this is Lightwork Volume 4 or 5. I think it's 4. I'm not really sure, sorry. This palette is super expensive, but I am very happy that I did buy it. I think I got it at a discount, which is good. But I have used this sucker pretty much a ton. These are super good. If you really want some really good duochromes, definitely check out Danessa Myricks. Such a great formula. I really do like this palette, but I know it's kind of sad, and don't judge me. I have kind of realized that duochromes and trichromes and all that, they're just not my thing. I feel like you can't even see it. But this one like flashes like a green. They're very beautiful, don't get me wrong. This formula is great. But I don't know. It's not something that I reach for, you know, and that's honestly why I talked myself out of buying the new one. The shades were really pretty, but I barely have used this one. It's not one that I want to reach for a lot, even though it is such high quality. So I'm kind of just being like, well, we need to get some more use out of this one. And if she does come up with something in the future that really strikes my fancy, obviously, then I will be picking that up. Next up is the Berries and Cream palette from Dominique Cosmetics. This is another brand, unfortunately, that I no longer support. They were just doing some shady stuff during the pandemic, but I had gotten this in a Beautylish mystery box and really loved it. This is actually a super solid palette. The quality is super, very nice. I love the shimmers, all that fun stuff. But like I said, yeah, brand is kind of shady, but hoping to get some more use out of that. Jumping into e.l.f., it's kind of shocking to me that I only have 3 e.l.f. things, because e.l.f. is one of my brands that I really use a lot. But I guess I tend to use a bit more of their like foundation, stuff like that. So this is the discontinued e.l.f. X Christian Siriano. This honestly is kind of an ugly color story. It really is not that good. I'm really just keeping it for collector's purposes. I don't know. I really don't like it, but like I said, I'm keeping it for collectors purposes, and I kind of, yeah, when I'm, you know, as I'm maturing and getting older and stuff, I would love to, and of course, hopefully continue this on with my YouTube, but to keep having, you know, year after year, I mean, like, let's see how the collection has grown. You know, I can't think of the person's name right now, but there is somebody here on YouTube who has collections from probably when I was in high school, you know what I mean? So it's so fascinating and cool to me to see those collections from far back. I want to collect that stuff. So yeah, that's exciting to me. This is a little random thing. If anybody remembers, I kind of wish that I had like an OG what the e.l.f. quads originally started out with, but I do believe this was like the second version of them. I had picked this up once at the Dollar Tree because I don't know, whatever. I feel like Dollar Tree is so tempting with makeup because it's $1 or now $1.25. But yeah, it's whatever. But these, and unfortunately this is the only one that I have from e.l.f. These are gorgeous. I love these little quads. They are so nice. Honestly, I might want to switch this one out for another matte shade. But besides that, these are so solid. Like, the shimmer's fine. I think in order to just have, like, a one palette look, like, it's a really pretty shimmer. But in order to just have, like, a one palette little quad, I would probably want another matte, basically a lighter matte. Okay, let's get ready for Glamlite. We are diving into Glamlite. Glamlite is probably the brand that I have the most of. I really do like Glamlite, / also they've had a lot of really good sales and things, which is why a lot of these palettes did come out once when they did like it wasn't a mystery bag, but it was like, I think it was $55 and you just got like a bunch of these palettes. So that is where I got a lot of these, especially the older ones. So the pizza palette from Glamlite. I am keeping all of my packaging with these ones specifically because it's really pretty. So this is what the pizza palette looks like. To be honest, this was a really cool, you know, moment in time with this palette. It was super neat. I unfortunately did not own it at that time, period, but I do still think it is a really cool piece. The quality is not really that great. The mattes are fine, but the shimmers kind of suck. Glamlite has definitely improved since then, so that part's really amazing. So next up we have the Taco palette, Viva Taco palette. So this is what this baby looks like. This one, the quality is not terrible. Again, the mattes are really nice. The shimmers are, you know, whatever. But it's a really solid palette, but I really like the mattes. And it's just cute to have. Next up is the Cake palette. To be honest, I have barely gotten any use out of this palette. I really do hope with summertime that I'm able to use this palette more. Some of the shimmers in this, some of the shimmers in this are honestly really solid and really good. Some of them not so much, but I feel like you can kind of see as I'm, you know, waving around, the ones that are really reflective are the really good ones. And again, the mattes from Glamlite are really solid. Their shimmer, of course, as they have evolved, has gotten like a million times better, which I'm so, so happy that they have done that. So, unfortunately, this is a creator that I no longer support, Michaela. This is the Michaela Glamlite palette. Random, you will see, mine has no sparkles in it. So, this palette definitely has a flaw with the packaging. It literally separated. I saw somebody else that did this too, and I was like, oh, that's crazy, that sucks, I wonder how it happened. And then it happened to me. So it basically just a bunch of glitter mess, and did not like that. But to be honest, this is actually a really solid palette. The shimmers in this are so pretty. The top row is just, you know, boring, whatever, but these are some really solid shimmer shades that I really want to play with this sucker more. Next up is the ginormous Scooby-Doo palette that did come out, I believe, early this year. This is another palette that I did depot and make magnetic. I really have not spent that much time with this palette. I do want to play around more with this palette. The shimmers are really nice. Again, the consensus, like everybody else says, is this palette is just way too massive. It could have been reduced down. It's nice. I will be excited to play with this more probably during like summertime. Next up we have is the Burger palette. I am really nervous and curious to see if my palette is gonna have, like a lot of people's does, the oil marks. When I did originally get this, it did come with one of these silica gel things. I have kept it in here to, I guess, keep up with the moisture. So last time I checked, my palette did not have any issues. Let's see. Let's open it together. Does it? I still don't think I see anything. I can't tell if... I think I'm still fine. There might be like a teeny bit with this shade here. But yeah, so if you do end up buying this palette, if it's still available, maybe keep the little thing in your box, at least for me. Now, granted, I've not had this for that long, maybe like going on 2 or 3 years, so I've not had much of an issue. This is just a fun palette. I really feel like this is just honestly a collector's piece. The formula is really nice. Next up is the Street Taco palette. This one actually, whoa, has some pretty nice shimmers. Guacamole, let's do a little swatch, is such... Look at that green. Oh, that is such a gorgeous shade. So you can definitely tell that they were really working on stepping up their shimmers with this palette, so I'm super appreciative of that. Moving on to a completely brand new palette to them, which is the Friday the 13th palette. I have yet to play with this. That's why you probably have not seen a video on my channel whatsoever with this. I really cannot wait to play with this. It is very beautiful. This dark blue is calling my name whenever I see this palette. I cannot wait to play with it. It will be coming when I have the time, but I am definitely excited to play with that. This one I actually just learned recently is from last year, I think around like Christmas time, so like this time of year, is the Strawberry Shortcake palette. So it kind of does make sense with the reds and greens. Then I know a lot of people consider this like a springtime palette, which I do agree, but I think you can definitely make some cute Christmas looks with this, and the color story is just fabulous with that. Next up is the 2 palettes from Nightmare on Elm Street. I'll be honest with you, this is my absolute favorite packaging for Glamlite. I really wish that they did more like this, as in, I mean, this thing is really cool, lenticular or whatever. I love their 12-pan palettes. I have not used this. As you see, the little plastic is still on it. I have not used this at all. Cannot wait to play with this one. But yeah, I just love the size of these. I think these are perfect, and they're not too big. And yeah, Glamlite, not that you're watching, but I place more of these. Just like little palettes that still have a lot of shades. So we have the second one. That is what this one looks like. Oh, cannot wait to play with that one. From their Halloween collection last year, these are the Scooby-Doo ones. These are super solid. I hope one of the shades does not pop out, because I was also working on defining the shade. I've heard a lot of mixed things about these palettes. I've had 0 issues, and the shimmers are fabulous. They are so freaking good. I really don't get why people don't like these that much. Some of them say the mattes aren't that good. I know Teresa is dead. Does not like these. I really love them. These are probably my favorite palettes from Glamlite as of yet. And again, like I said, they're my favorite size, so I'm really in love with those. Next up, we have the Red Velvet, or I guess, is this called Cupcake? Is this called Cupcake? I always thought this was called Red Velvet Cupcake. I don't know, because it doesn't say. Whatever. Super cute. The palette itself is kind of bland and boring. I literally got it for like 10 bucks, which is why I bought it. But it is cute, and it does go along with the cake palette, so I kind of don't want to get rid of it, but we're not going to be a fave. Next up, we have the Donut palette. This is the only donut one that I do have from them. I loved this palette for a while. Especially this shimmery highlight shade in the center. I use this shade all of the time. It is... It was like one of my favorite eyeshadow topper shades, highlight shade. I was literally in love. This shade, or this palette, is definitely nice. Starting off with our first of the Cookies and Cream palettes. I do own all of them. And mine might be a bit busted. I have not looked at these in a while. So these are the Hershey Kisses. I did depot all of mine and make them magnetic, so some might look a little busted. just like that. So it looks like I will have to be careful when showing these off. I just have not had a chance yet to put like a metal plate on the back of these to make them truly magnetic. These were again another one that a lot of people said they did not really care for. I thought these were fine. I do really like a monochrome kind of look to make it like easy. Like I love seeing like, I want to do blue. Okay, pick out this palette. I just think it makes it really easy. Next up we have the Hershey Kisses Milk Chocolate with Almond palette. I'm gonna like lightly show these because I'm scared some of them are gonna pop out. These are what this sucker looks like. Kisses Lava Cake. This is probably my favorite from this collection. Oh no, the red kind of broke. I feel like any of these that are like really breaking, I'm just gonna get rid of. But I actually really did like this one, the deep red, that unfortunately looks like it's broken. This is the Milk Chocolate palette. As you see, I'm missing a shade. Bummer, bummer. But that's what this color sort of looks like. This one's probably like my least favorite of the 5. We have Special Dark. This one is beautiful. The purples the shimmers could have been a little bit stronger in my opinion, but the matte really pretty. You see as well, we were missing another one. We apparently had a tragedy, which is sad, but I do also really like this one. Jumping in with the Martini collection, I think I'm really quickly just gonna show you what are like my favorites. So we'll just kind of go whatever. So we have, this is the Dirty Martini. I want to get more use out of this one. This really has some killer shades. This green is gorgeous. I barely have used this palette, but I really want to. This palette, the wine, this one's hard to use. Like, if I was to declutter, not that I am, but I would probably be tempted to declutter. I like this purple. I like this kind of blurple shade, at least to me. The shimmers are just okay. But yeah, if I was to declutter, I would probably declutter this one. And I know it kills me to say, and this is another thing with packaging. I don't know if you can see, maybe not. This has started to, like, it got air in it. I don't think it's, like, affecting the formula. I don't know, I think just the glue has loosened up. This palette is so hard for me to use. This is the one that, within that whole entire collection, is just so random to me. The shades in all of these, or this one specifically, is very beautiful. They are all super nice shades, but I struggle to use them. They are beautiful, but I really struggle. And then probably shocking for anybody, my absolute favorite palette from the collection is the Chocolate Martini palette. So I'm going to be gentle because I did depot this one. I do think all the shades are hopefully magnetic in there. I think they are. But this is absolutely my favorite one, even though it is more on the neutral side. I just really love this one. I have created so many beautiful looks that I really like it. Moving on in to another new palette. So this is the Ghost Face Liz palette. To be honest, this palette is pretty, but I wish now that I kind of would have just missed out on it. I really feel like the really pretty shades that they showed on their, like in their swatch video are just okay. It's those matte with the sparkles. I do have a video on my channel if you are curious about my thoughts on this one, but I wish I would have just passed. I was kind of in a moment of wanting to buy every single collection for Halloween specifically that they had. That, yeah, it kind of just got away from me. Next up, this was sent to me by the lovely Connie at ColourPop here on YouTube and Instagram and all that fun stuff. She sent me her Chucky palette because she said that she really did not like it. And I did play with it, and I do. Honestly, I do like it. It's very dark, very grungy. There are a couple of, like this one here that is that matte with like a little bit of a glitter in it, which I don't really care for. But the shades honestly are really pretty. So I had bought this one to compare, I believe, with the Ghost Face. After owning both of them, I can see where I was leaning, or other people were leaning, that there was some similarities. I really just feel like how they swatch can really make things look similar. This is honestly a really pretty palette. I have barely played with this palette, but it is super duper pretty. I really do like it. I actually do have a video on my channel where I did do my own like version using the little Hershey Kisses palette, and I did, I think, pull from some other palettes. Yeah, definitely check that out if you are curious about what I was able to come up with color story-wise for that palette. Next up are the two Icy palettes. So first up we have the Cherry palette. I love this. I really do. I noticed for myself what I just love is I love a monochromatic moment. Red shimmer, all that gorgeous stuff is beautiful. The shimmers probably could have been a bit more amped up if I am completely honest, but I do like them. I do like the depth. Absolutely beautiful. Now for the Blue Raspberry palette. Again, such a gorgeous color story. These do have, the shimmers are a bit stronger in this one, which I do appreciate. And I do like the depth. I do almost wish that there was maybe a little bit darker of a blue, because this one, when I wear it, definitely looks more like a bright blue, but it is very pretty. I did actually pull for this palette recently when doing a look. Love that. That is it for Glamlite. I know, a ton, probably this entire video. Seems like it was Glamlite, but I'm super excited to show you my newest babies that it feels wrong to say discovered, but discovered for myself this year, which are by Gourmand Girls. I am obsessed with all three of these palettes. These are Gourmand Girls in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny. So this is the one that I was so tempted to buy last year, and I did not. This is the Spooks palette. I did go ahead and pick it up this year. Such a gorgeous color range. I cannot wait to play with this palette more. I am really tempted to do a series coming up, just a little spoiler ahead of time, sometime next year, because I tend to, like, in the beginning of the year, I'll notice that I'm like, I miss Halloween, or I miss spooky season. I really want to pull these palettes out and just play, so that we don't have to buy, one, we don't have to buy new makeup, but two, we can really just get to know these palettes more, because I'll be honest with my schedule, and I'll talk more about this in my New Year's video, but with what I've been doing, or was doing for a while with palette reviews and everything, I felt like I had no time to really get to know these palettes, so I really want to take my time, get to know them, and find what I truly love about them. My first palette by them was the Nightshade palette. This is probably my favorite by them. This color story is just chef's kiss. It's so gorgeous. I really love it. I do have a video on at least these two palettes, so definitely check that out. Of course, we have the Haunted. I know a lot of people say that these two are similar. They are sister palettes, so I get that they're supposed to have similarities. I personally don't feel like they're that similar. There are shades that are, like, kind of similar. Like, I definitely get that. I don't know. I still appreciate having both of them. And then lastly, for this collection, or this spot, is Hank and Henry, which is another brand, unfortunately, I no longer support. I guess not, unfortunately. They messed up. They did bad things. They're not a great person. Is this Sweet Tooth palette. I really have not got much use out of it. One thing I would say, and I am a bit bummed again that, unfortunately, the owner is a crappy person, is that the shimmers in this are actually really nice. The quality in this is really nice, and I'd gotten this in a mystery box really affordably. So, yeah, kind of a bummer. This palette is a little hard to use for me, but I would love to get some more use. This green is so gorgeous. I really do like it. Up next, so I know this is probably not a palette per se. We'd probably call this a trio. This will actually, and this is by Hank and Henry, this is probably one of the items that I would consider decluttering in the future. I really want to use up this matte black shade. There's also like a gray kind of shimmer shade. It's just whatever. I had to tape up this part. This is one of those, I don't know why they ever created these weird contraptions, but it was dark black, a gray shimmer, and then some form of a highlighting powder that you got a ton of. These, I remember when I learned that this retails for like 30 bucks. From Hank and Henry. Such a freaking ripoff. Such a ripoff. I got it in the mystery box that I purchased from the brand, which is on my channel, so definitely check that out, I guess, if you're curious, even though you know I don't support them. So this one coming up next, Indie Beat Cosmetics Frankincense and Myrrh. On a random, I feel like I barely hear anything about their brand right now. I know a while ago I was hearing a lot about their color foundations that they do, and then another brand was kind of making dupes or whatever, but I really have not heard from them since. I've definitely seen like posts on Instagram, and I almost feel kind of bad, but I'm worried that throughout the year this brand may unfortunately go under. I'm not really sure, because it kind of more seems like they're making posts on Instagram, and it's like, we're really bored, or I'm really bored, have nothing to do, buy something, you know, help me out, or whatever, like, help keep this brand alive. And I'm like, granted, I want you to be able to succeed and all of that stuff, but I'm like, maybe come up with something new. Now, granted, I understand if they can't afford to come up with something new, but anyways, I'm getting off on a random tangent. But this palette, to be honest, I really do, this, I guess, going along with something that I might one day declutter. So, predominantly all of the shimmers in this palette are pressed glitters. I do, again, have a video on this somewhere on my channel. It's probably from 2 years ago, I think, around Christmas time. All of the glitters now will just basically flake right out. Maybe this one is still, I don't know. The base just really has not held up. I will be on the lookout from the brand to see if they are ended up coming out with anything new, but I really don't think so. So yeah, I don't know. I do have that one. It was nice. The mattes were fine. The shimmers were pretty good. So next, I'm going to be showing you my Jeffree Star collection. So Jeffree Star, again, is a brand that I no longer support. I feel like that is like a running theme. Unfortunately, for a while, I was buying from makeup brands that were extremely problematic. But I already have the makeup, and I'm going to try and at least get some use out of it. You will definitely see as well when we get later on showing you. I just have a couple of like palettes with some singles in it. I have depotted a ton of his palettes, and I'm now just trying to get some use. But these ones I have not depotted yet. I don't know if I really will. So this is the Androgyny palette. So what this sucker looks like. Pretty nice shades. The shimmers, one thing I will say about Jeffree Star, we're just going to kind of flip through them fast. The shimmers in Jeffree Star, they're just okay. They're not really that good, at least in my opinion. They're kind of lackluster. I get that they're old. This has a matte black with the, you know, those sequiny shades. I know it's supposed to be like a rainbow shade, but it's not that impressive. But yeah, the shimmers in this one is pretty bad as well. This is the Beauty Killer, sorry, his first ever eyeshadow palette that he came out with. Next up is the Alien palette. I think this one might be pretty new. I really don't know. I do have this depotted, so I might give this away to a friend. I have already given a couple, or at least one away to a friend. I did purchase a couple of the mystery boxes when I was still supporting him for Valentine's Day. There, again, is a video somewhere on my channel. Real quick, I just want to throw in, if you are still watching, hopefully you are, the reason that I do not remove, as of yet, any of my videos from then is for one, I would like to be able to reflect back and see where I've grown, but for two, I just don't feel a need to pretend like it didn't happen, if that makes sense. I think we're all human, we all make mistakes, and support people that sometimes are horrible people. I may change my mind one day, but at least for now, I have decided to leave those videos up. Yeah. Anyways, moving along, here's another palette, Jawbreaker. I hate this palette. I might depot this one day, because the mattes are fine again, the shimmers suck. That really is something that it breaks my heart, because I really don't like getting rid of makeup, but like, the shimmers suck. So honestly, like, if I can't use them, I really should just declutter them, let's be honest. Thirsty, this palette kind of sucks, again, in my opinion. I know they did relaunch this one a while ago. The shimmers in this are actually really nice. I do not know why these shimmers are good and the rest of them are not. These are actually, well, maybe they're not. Let me see. I mean, I think they're pretty stunning, at least of all of his palettes. These are by far the best in my opinion, but this palette is just really hard for me to create looks with. Mini controversy. This is with the Shea Dawson collection. This is just, you know, whatever, mixture of random shades. We also have the Mini Breaker, which, ooh, it looks like I did depot this one. The shade either is broken or it is missing. This palette is just okay. I do some sort of a video with this palette up on my channel, so definitely check that out if you would like to. Jumping in, I feel like this is the section, that's it for Jeffree Star right now. I feel like this is a section of brands that I no longer support, unfortunately, but whatever. I'm going to try and still use their makeup, because I have it. So this is from Juvia's Place, the Masquerade Mini. This palette, I would definitely say Juvia's Place had really nice quality. Has really nice quality. I know they still do exist. I really feel like just some problematic behaviors that they've done. Fellow creators that I follow. The Fancy Face. Tina by the Fancy Face. She used to do, might still do sometimes, some car chats. I really do like watching her videos. She's been in this space for such a long time, and I really appreciate her insight and all of her education and all of that stuff. She was somebody, I think she had a car chat about the brand and was just like, I'm not going to support anymore, whatever, and it kind of led me to make my decision. There's so many good brands out there, indie brands, that we should be giving our money to, in my opinion. I'm not going to be giving it to a brand that really is not learning from their mistakes, in all honesty. This is the Magic Mini. I've gotten this in a mystery box. This as well as somewhere up my channel. It's fine. It's pretty. I honestly just probably need to force myself to use their palettes more, or just use my makeup more. This is the Zulu palette. The shimmers in this, honestly, are pretty nice. I do think I have a video with this palette where I did like a rainbow look. I was actually inspired by somebody I follow on Instagram to do like a rainbow makeup look, and I think it turned out really cute. This is probably my favorite, the Warrior 3. I just love the artwork. The artwork was so beautiful, and that's what's just really disappointing, because this is a Black-owned brand. It's just disappointing when people just do really crappy things sometimes, but yeah, this palette is really pretty. I do feel like a lot of times their color stories were kind of random to me, but I did still try to get some good use out of them, and I'm still trying. This is another one that I guess I might consider decluttering one day. I just really don't like this. This is the Taupes by Juvia. The shades are just okay. They're, you know, whatever. The shimmers are not that nice. Enough with Juvia's place. So here is another brand, Kaleidos. Unfortunately, this is the only little palette that I have from them, and sadly, Kaleidos has become extremely boring and discontinued these palettes. So beautiful. I only have this one, and I really do like it and will treasure it. It is a very nice palette. Magnetic, again, so jumping in there with the magnetic and the shimmers, and the two shimmers are really, really solid. I do want to challenge myself to do like an actual entire makeup look. I struggle with the orange. I really do want to do that one day. Next up, I know I did just have a recent video on this. This is the Tati Beauty palette that is shaped like a cookie tin. This is what this looks like. Honestly, this is one of those collection only kind of palettes, truthfully. So it's just cute. I like having my collection. I'm probably not going to reach for it though. Next up, so this is a random one that I have from the Dollar Tree, LA Colors. I know this is such a dumb reason to keep something, but this really reminds me of like really old makeup from the 90s, if anybody remembers of that. This is, I mean, really not great quality, but I am keeping it just for that little bit of like nostalgic smell. These two up next are from Ladybug Glow. I do have a newer video up on my channel. These are the Krampus Eve and Krampus Continued palettes. This one is the Krampus Eve. You can definitely tell that the Krampus Continued is a lot more popular, especially with the shimmer shades. It did have a replacement shade, though, for this one. The owner did reach out to me, though, and say that the Krampus Continued is her normal formula. She really didn't say what Krampus Eve was. She said it was something that was, like, a trying out kind of thing. I don't know if that means she just saw a random, like, pre-made palette like they do sometimes and just pick that one out. I know that's random, but yeah, if you are into looking into Ladybug Glow, probably Krampus Continue will be your best bet. The first one, the Krampus Eve, is nice. I definitely could tell a lot of people like the Krampus Continued more. Delving in with likely makeup, this is their Ugly palette they came out with, I feel like a couple years ago now. I don't know why they really haven't come out with more. I know that the owner of the brand has got back into their YouTube channel a little bit. I don't know if they always do it, but yeah, this is what this palette looks like. Such a pretty color story. I do have a video for this palette as well. Next up, we have all of my palettes from Melt. So Melt is a brand that I just tried out this year. I have purchased quite a few. Well, I have a total of 5 palettes now. I did buy the Christmas Town and Halloween Town palettes. I know I do have shorts, I believe, or TikTok, so definitely check those out. But this is the color story for the Christmas Town palette. I want to play around specifically with this one a lot more, especially before Christmas time is over. Halloween Town palette. This is what this color store looks like. I really do appreciate that Melt's shadows are also magnetic, which is super sick. Next up, we have the Gemini. I really like the embossing. These are like so pretty. One thing I will say is that Melt, their shimmer formula to me is just not that stunning. So keep that in mind. Their mattes are killer. Their mattes are killer. I do agree with what a lot of people say about their mattes. I did go ahead and buy the Gemini 2 from Melt. You'll probably see on, I think, the previous Monday to this one, I did do my, like, a Melt Black Friday haul. It's where I got a lot of these, so I did pick that one up because it was really affordable. I did go ahead and pick up Beauté because they did have it. I really, really do like this one. Again, kind of similar situation with the shimmers. These two, the blue, like the light blue and this darker blue, are actually really nice. This one did work as an inner corner highlight. I feel like if you like buff it out, then you get the shine, but it's not that strong. Next up, we have from NYX Cosmetics. NYX Cosmetics is a brand that I believe no longer exists. I know that they do have a MYDAS, but they have not come out with anything new in a while. So this is the Flower Bomb palette. I really did like this one. A lot of these shades, though, are pressed glitters, but this was a pretty little palette. I really did not use it much, if I'm honest, but it is pretty. I do enjoy it. If anybody does remember Smoky Glow, I know she has recently hopefully returned to YouTube, who knows, but this is her collaboration palette with Midas. This is what, oh no, Leno broke. That's so sad. Leno and Nutty were seriously some of the best shades. I know that they came out with these as singles. This is probably my favorite palette by them. I really wish that, I really just don't get it. I feel like they just kind of must have fallen off and nobody wanted to buy anything, because I actually really liked Midas, so I don't know, it's kind of sad. I do hope they come back one day, but who knows. This was a palette. I go through my phases where I buy everything from the brand sometimes, so I did buy High Times. This palette is just okay. The shimmers are kind of crappy, if I'm honest, or they're just very lackluster, but the mattes are really nice. Next up is the Lemonade palette. I actually really like this one. I wish that they would have done more of these. So it's a monochrome palette. I know one of the shades in this is loose, so I'll be careful. I really did like this. Next up, I do have 3 of these little quads. They did like a coffee shop collection. I do not have the 4th. That one was all glitters, pressed glitters, so I decided to go against it. First up is the Macchiato Quad, the shimmer, and this one is just okay. It's great for a nice little smoky moment. Latte was my first one that I got from them in a mystery bag. The shimmer, again, is just okay. I wish it probably was a bit lighter. Maybe that's just my preference. And then I might say that you probably didn't need both these oranges, but, you know, this was a cute little quad. Lastly, we have the Decaf palette. I honestly probably never played with this palette. As you see, I still have a little plastic. The shimmer of this one's just okay. It's a great probably palette for like Valentine's Day. Jumping into another brand, this is the only palette I do have from them, which is Milani. These are their little 6-pan palettes. I have mine in the shade Most Wanted. I do know that they still have these. Unfortunately, one of my shades did break, because I think I did drop it. This palette is fine. It's pretty. I'm definitely curious to check out more from Milani. The shimmers were probably nice. So a new to me brand from this year would be Notoriously Morbid. So I have only purchased, I think, 2 palettes from them, and then for the mystery bags, as far as I can remember. I hope I'm not wrong. I do still have an order from Halloween coming from that Notoriously Morbid. Seriously, takes forever to ship things out to you. In all honesty, I will probably not be ordering from Notoriously Morbid unless it's something that I know I really want to just have in my collection. Love the color story regardless of how long it's gonna take to get to me, because like I said, it just takes way too freaking long. So this women palette, I do have a video up on this one. This palette was just okay. It definitely was not my favorite color story. I don't know. It's okay. It's pretty. I think I really just hyped this up in my head more. This shade is really pretty, and I don't know. I definitely want to get some more use. I have created pretty looks out of it, but it's just sadly not my favorite. Season of the Witch palette Fall. I do really like this one. I do have a video with 2 looks, and then I did also like a short and or TikTok with this that's actually doing crazy well. Definitely check that out, but I do like all the shimmers in this one. It is pretty nice and solid with the 3 mattes. Pretty nice little palette from them. This is the only palette I have from NYX. This is their, it's so old you can tell the writing's like gone. I don't even know what it's called. A little colorful palette. This is not my favorite. Not my favorite. I've been so tempted to get rid of this thing. I really don't like this thing. I've created looks out of this. I've made beautiful things. I still like it. So I'll be honest again. if I ever do a declutter, this will probably be on the chopping block. So we'll see. Maybe next year I might consider doing a declutter. I've never done one before because I've always, again, like I said, historically just wanted to keep things. But if I really hate something, like I'm not going to use this. I just don't like it. I might consider it. Next, let's just talk about decluttering. My one and only Morphe palette is the James Charles palette. The quality in this is just not very good. It was very, very, very hyped up. Such a ginormous freaking palette, and you know, the mattes are fine. Mattes are fine, they work. I would like to get some more use out of this palette ideally. This palette, I love Odin side. But I'll be honest, I need to use these shades independently. I had gotten this little palette in a mystery bag, but I do not like this palette. All the shimmers in this, it's an all shimmer little palette. I feel like I can't make a look out of this, if I'm honest. I don't know. It's pretty. I do like it, but I struggle to make a little look. So yeah, I want to play with that more and get some more looks out of it. Coming in with some of my Odin side palettes. So I did buy all of them from the holiday collection this year. So this is the Christmas Eve palette. This was from last year's. I do not regret buying this palette though. It is so beautiful. I know the two newer ones are not that popular, which I will show you in a second. So this is the Merry Christmas palette. So pretty. From their new line this year, Snow Drain palette is probably by far the most popular. I love how cute it is. I definitely played with this one. I did do a live with my friend Connie. We do on Instagram. It will either be on my Instagram or hers. If you want to see me playing around with this palette, definitely check that out. And then the only palette I've not played with quite yet that I want to, but I've been struggling, is the Hey Reindeer palette. A lot of people do not like this color story and this one. This is probably the one that will be saving more for spring and summer. It's still really pretty. The quality is, of course, super nice. I really do like Odin's super duper solid with that. Next up, I do have both of the palettes from Odin's Eye and Angelica Nyqvist. I do kind of regret buying this one, Little Ghost palette. It's just my least favorite one out of the collection. It's pretty. Me now almost wishes that I would have waited till it went on sale. I one day would love to figure out a way to make these magnetic because I really do want to morph these both together because this is the Trick or Treat palette, which I do actually like a lot more. This one is so pretty, and they ended up both going on sale for the holiday season, so I kind of wish now that I would have waited, but I knew that I really wanted them, and I did make separate videos on my channel for each of the palettes, so check those out if you are curious. This is the OG Hella palette. I think I might have made a video. I'm not 100% sure. This is what this sucker looks like. Such a really nice color story. I still dipped into this one specifically for the greens. Next up, this is from a brand that no longer exists, so Beautify Cosmetics. This was the one and only palette I did buy from them. It's just okay. To be honest, the quality is kind of not good. Some of the mattes are fine. The shimmers really aren't that good, but it is cute, and I did spend money on it, so, you know, whatever. I'm keeping it, at least right now. Unfortunately, Posh Culture does not exist anymore. This was a collaboration palette they did with Makeup Toys on Instagram. This is so pretty. Next up is from Pretties for Your Face. This is a Sanderson Sisters palette. This is a 5-color story, just basically each shade from characters from the movie. It's a nice little palette. I really do appreciate their singles specifically, and these are all magnetic, which is nice. Pretties for Your Face is definitely a brand I would so check out. So affordable. So this sucker I did purchase this year. This is from Profusion. It is the Casper collection. I have mixed feelings with this one. I almost wish I would not have bought it, but this quality is just okay. It's pretty. I'm happy I have it. I wish I would have talked myself out of it, because I did, you know, spend quite a bit of money on this palette, but you know, it is cute, and it will be cute for nostalgia's sake. I did like the little character on here. Next up would be my palette from Revolution. Revolution is not really a brand that I really care for. I don't have a lot from Revolution. I did get this one as a gift. This is the Forever Flawless Birds of Paradise palette. It looks like just a lot of bright shades, some shimmers. This one looks really pretty. 2 pressed glitters that I'm really not going to use. I don't know why there is a big splotch of yellow paint on this, but oh well. This is just nice bright colors. I feel like a lot of their palettes look like that. Here is one. To be honest, I was really disappointed with this one. So this is Tammy X Revolution, a YouTuber that I really do enjoy watching her content, and I saw that she had a collection with Revolution, and I wanted to check out the palette. To be honest, this is just okay. It's kind of lackluster. The shimmers really aren't that good. Kind of a bummer. Would declutter it, honestly, if I ever do declutter in the future. Moving on, so these are two palettes as well from Revolution. These are from last year. I do have a video on both of these. So this was the Grinch palette. I do really like this one. They're kind of pretty. I just like how cute it is, and then I do like the little papers. This one says, "I'm not mad, it's just how my face looks." I think that's so freaking cute. I really, really do like this. I wish I would have kept the box, to be honest, because displaying it is kind of hard, but it is super, super adorable. This other one is called I Had Fun Once, It's Awful. Also has a little plastic sheet that says Resting Grinch Face. This one is really cute. I feel like the quality is probably the best in this one. Jumping into another brand that unfortunately is not existing currently. I think that either, I don't know, it's September Rose Cosmetics. I don't fully know what's going on. I think that maybe some health issues and things like that, so they've decided to pause the brand, and so a lot of things are on sale on the brand, so definitely check out their website if you are curious. So this is the OG Slush palette. Such a really pretty palette. I do wish that the shimmers were better. This brand is just okay. It was, or I guess is, black owned, which is mainly why I really wanted to try it out, and I have heard a lot of good things about it, but it's just okay. It is nice. I'd recommend it, definitely recommend it over this one, the Slush 2, which they have repackaged, so I don't really know if they rechanged. Some of the shades in this are really gorgeous, but a lot of the dark mattes are not that good. They're just okay. Their last palette I think that they did make is the Still Pretty palette, which is this one. This one, I mean, and I really do hope that they come back, because you could tell they really stepped up their game with this. The only thing I will say is some of the shades are glued in kind of wonky. That's kind of a bummer. But a lot of the shimmers in this are really freaking nice. I am so in love. Like this red shimmer in here, to be honest, this is like the best red shimmer that I own. Look at how wet looking and shimmer. I hope you can see that. It is such a beautiful shade. I really do hope that they are able to come back, because I really did like them and really did appreciate supporting them. Next up is the Brew palette from them. This is my favorite palette from them. Buy this, buy this, buy this. If they have it, look at for one how beautiful that is. For two, the inside. The two little shimmers are so good, all matte. The black is not that good, but it's fine. Whatever, you can make it work. But just tell me this color story is not beautiful. Tell me it's not beautiful. It is beautiful. Next up, Shroud Cosmetics. It's freaking bat. This is the only one that I do have from them. Unfortunately, Trappa did break. I did drop it, which is kind of sad, but it really is a nice palette. I do want to try more from them. Their shadows smear a bit powdery, which kind of feels sad and hard to kind of work with a teensy-weensy bit, but I was able to get them to work. The shimmers, though, are really nice, a really solid, like, kind of thick formula. I do really want to pick up the second one. If I didn't also say this is also magnetic, which I really do appreciate. But yeah, I really do want to pick up the second one and definitely look into them more in the future. The second one that they did with Batty Bean, if I did not say, because I did not say. I think it's called Halloween or something that they did a couple years ago, maybe last year. I don't really know. Next up these are like so random. So these are from Sleek. I don't even know if this brand exists anymore, but this was one of their palettes that really stuck out to me. So it's the E10. And then this next one is Cream Tea. This is just kind of like a neutral palette. Next up this is from Sugar Drizzle Polish. This is the only palette I do own from the brand, The Elements of Evil. This came out this year around Halloween, literally right at the end. So talk about disappointment. I do still have a video talking about this palette. I know probably not everybody loved it. This is still a really nice solid palette. The mattes are good. The shimmers are good. Buy it for the shimmers is what I would really say. If the shimmers really stand out to you, these are some really nice duochromes. I will definitely be looking into the brand more, but I'm a little disappointed that this palette just kind of came out so last minute and it wasn't really popular. A brand that I truly am obsessed with is Sugarpill. Oh my god, this is so busted, so messed up. I don't know if I should include this, but I'm going to. This is my palette of singles from them. Clearly you can tell I love their white. So far, this is all the shades. I do have another one in one of my other single palettes, which we will point out probably later. Sugarpill X Little Twin Stars. I do really miss when they used to do these kind of little cute palettes. As you see, mine's a little broken, but oh well. I do think I at least made one of these shades magnetic. I really like this palette. I do wish they would come back out with palettes like these. I do kind of miss them. Okay, this is one that I will not use ever. I think I did play with it once, and the quality is, of course, old. But I spent so much money on this on eBay once because I just wanted to re-own them. So this is Sugarpill Old School. Honestly, Sugarpill, if you're ever watching my content, I would love for you to relaunch. These are so cute. So this was the Heartbreaker Quad. So it had these 4 colors. Acid Berry is discontinued, as is 2AM. Velocity, the blue, and then Mochi still do exist in the collection. You probably just saw it in my last palette from them. That was the singles. So next up we have, let's just go real fast with Fun Size 1. That's about the boy looks like. And then they did come out with Fun Size 2. I think these are so adorable. These are like video game themed. These are so cute. I do really want to get more love though out of these because I have not played a bunch with these. And I really need to. So this was actually my first ever palette from the brand. You could see mine is well loved. You could definitely see my favorite shades. Clearly, I don't like orange that much. But this was the Burning Heart Quad. So you have, I believe, all of these minus Poison Plum still exist. So this one's Butter Cupcake, Flame Point, Love Plus, and Poison Plum. Next up, I do have so far all of the capsule collections. So here is the pink one. I have the orange one, black one, and the gold one. I do feel like a lot of these palettes do have a lot of similarities. A lot of them have, you know, a really bright green, things like that. I don't hate these. I think it's a really cute idea, especially because their brand is called Sugarpill, but I don't know, I think I just like cardboard packaging better. We'll see what they come out with. I don't think they come out with anything for a little bit, which is kind of sad, but Sugarpill is still one of my favorite brands. I really do appreciate them. Talk about discontinued Tati Beauty. I actually want to know if these are magnetic. She never said that they were. Oh, I'm pretty sure these are. I'm pretty sure these are. I could just tell because by the palette I've learned recently, or not recently, but a while ago, that really heavy palettes are magnetic, and I'm pretty sure these are magnetic. And this is where at least the creator of Sequin Shades kind of came into our lives. Not creator, but a good name for them. Tati Beauty does not exist, unfortunately. It did close down, which is sad, but hopefully she'll be able to relaunch something one day under a different name. Who knows, but we shall see. Being along from the crayon case, I just have the box of crayons palette. This is a pretty nice palette. This is definitely more of like a historical one that was really trendy back in the day when crayon palettes were really, I think Crayola came out with their own makeup line at one point because they just wanted to jump on the trend. I did also order this one from them, the matte book. This is just all matte eyeshadows. Matte eyeshadows are my absolute favorite. The quality in this is pretty good. Not the best in the world, but, you know, honestly not horrible. I've created a lot of fun looks with this. I do have a video on this palette on my channel, so definitely check that out as well if you're curious. This little quad is from the Lip Bar. I'm pretty sure I have a video on my channel about this. I think I do. Just a cute little quad. The quality is pretty decent. Here we go. Historical. The Electric Palette from Urban Decay. I love the absolute F out of my palette. You can see it is basically all used up. I at one point was going to throw this away, but then changed my mind because I just, you know, want to keep it and kind of have the memories of this beautiful palette, so I do like that one. They did release one a couple years ago called Wired Palette. I did have some of the shades. I don't really feel like it was as good, but also I really just feel like makeup has evolved, to be honest. So I feel like even the original electric palette was probably just okay. I don't even know if it was that good, but I think because it was mainly what we had, it felt really good. So, because I know a lot of people did not care for this one. They came out with some eyeliners with this, and I did buy one of them. I actually really did like it, but I have this. It's decent. But mainly just because it's pretty. Because it's pretty. So one next up palette that a lot of people do agree was ahead of its time was the Moon and Dust palette, which they've actually recently relaunched something similar, where it is 4 pan palettes. Hold on. I tried to make my magnetic, and I have not had a chance to fix it yet, but this is what mine looks like. These are absolutely beautiful. I still do use this palette. It's those really beautiful shimmery glittery shades that I think a lot of us really like. Next up are a couple of these little palettes from Wet n Wild. So we have Rose in the Air. I know I used to have 3 of these. I don't know where I lost one. These are honestly pretty nice staple palettes if you are looking for some cheap drugstore eyeshadow to use. This one is also really nice. These are only neutral. Mine's broken, Nude Awakening. You can really see I did use this sucker up, but I don't know, I just kind of like to keep my makeup. It's fun to me. Alright everybody, I am so excited. We are literally right at the finish line. Just a couple more palettes left to get through. So, we have from Wicked Widow, this is the Graveyard Smash palette. Both of these Wicked Widow palettes are completely new to me. I do not have a video yet, but I have played with these a little bit. I will definitely probably be playing with them some more, probably hopefully including them in a video in the future. Magnetic, all of Wicked Widow so far is magnetic as far as I know. We also have the new Resurrection palette. This one is so gorgeous, so pricey, but really honestly worth it, and the artwork is absolutely gorgeous, and this palette is just absolutely gorgeous. I really do like this one. Okay, so that is it for my actual palettes. Now, as I did mention before, I do have a lot of palettes that I have either depotted and put into my current collection of singles. As you see, for example, I used to own all the ABH palettes, but I did depot them to make them into singles. So I'm just going to kind of show you the color arrangements that I do have, and then at the end we will still tally everything up as if we're not counting these, or if we are. I do have 2 different numbers. So I'm just going to show you first what I have. So in this, I honestly don't remember what I have, but I did make these magnetic palettes. So this just looks like some neutrals. I try to kind of colorize them together. This is some of my greens and yellows, also some neutrals at the bottom because I could not fit them all, so I think this is my light neutrals. I think this one might be a face palette. Yeah, this is just a kind of empty face palette, so not really counting that one. This is my blues, and if you might notice, I do have them separated by mattes. I'm working on sorting out the shimmers, but these are my bluey kind of tealy mattes. This one is from Sugarpill. This is an Adept palette, one of those double-sided ones. I've been working on getting my shimmers into this and sorted. So these are some Maybelline ones. These are Notoriously Morbid. These are probably colored Raine, just a mixture of everything. We got a whole bunch here. The round pans on this side, let me move this little plastic divider. Round pans on this side, as far as I remember, are all prettiest for your face. Maybe a couple. I think this gold might be colored Raine. But yeah, a mixture of those there. These 2 babies I did recently purchase off of Amazon, and I do not regret. They are little magnetic palettes. So this is probably my absolute favorites. Just like my reds, oranges, purples, pinks. Just all laid out in colors, and I really like this one. And I think this next one is just a whole bunch of shimmers that I'm still trying to sort through. Yes, a butt ton of shimmers. Predominantly, this is all Jeffree Star on this side, I think. But yeah, that's it, everybody. We did it. Whoa, not knock things over. We made it through. I am so excited. I am also so tired. I've been doing this almost for about 2 hours filming, which is This is probably the longest I've ever filmed before. 2 freaking hours. I am exhausted. I am so ready for lunch, and then I need to go on live. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and finish this up. So, we ground a total. Ooh. I'm actually shocked. This is the first time I've ever counted all my palettes up. So, for palettes within themselves, not including these singles, I do have 148. Wow, that's a ton. And then if we include these singles palettes, I am removing the face palette, but that means we have 154. So holy cow, that is a ton of palettes. But I am just, I don't know, I'm super excited. Let me know down below what you think. Go ahead, if you made it this far, great job, thank you. Comment down below. Let me know, you know, put a smiley face or something so we all know that you made it to the end of the video. Definitely like this, subscribe, join me for more fun content. Probably not quite like this, but I will be doing it again next year at the end of the year like everybody else is doing. So yeah, I don't know, I'm really excited to have you here, and thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on my next one. Okay, bye.